Your biggest problem isn't your background, your circumstances, or your bank account. Your biggest problem is that you've become an expert at lying to yourself. Every morning, you look in the mirror and repeat the same comforting lies that have kept you mediocre. I'm not ready yet. The timing isn't right. I need more experience. These lies have become your lullaby, gently rocking you to sleep while your life passes by. You've mastered the art of planning, preparing, and postponing, all while convincing yourself you're making progress. But here's the brutal truth that's going to sting. You're not preparing, you're hiding. You're not planning, you're procrastinating. And every day you wait, your dreams are slipping through your fingers like sand. The choice you make in the next few seconds will determine the entire trajectory of your life. Right now, as you're sitting here, your mind is already formulating excuses, creating a comfortable narrative about why you can't achieve your dreams. That voice inside your head, we all know it. It's the one that whispers, maybe tomorrow now isn't the right time, or someone else will do it better. Let me tell you something that might shake you to your core. That voice is lying to you, and not just lying, it's stealing your future, robbing you of the extraordinary life you were meant to live. The most dangerous prison in the world isn't made of concrete and steel. It's built from the excuses we tell ourselves every single day. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to achieve everything they touch, while others remain stuck in an endless cycle of mediocrity? The answer isn't talent, it isn't luck, and it certainly isn't some secret formula that only a chosen few possess. The difference, the only difference that truly matters, is what people do in those critical moments when no one else is watching. I'm going to share something with you that might make you uncomfortable. In fact, if it doesn't make you uncomfortable, you're probably not listening closely enough. Success, real, lasting, meaningful success, isn't about working harder. It's about working differently. It's about making decisions that 99% of people aren't willing to make. Think about the last time you had a brilliant idea. Maybe it was a business concept, a career change, or a personal goal. What happened to that idea? Did you act on it immediately, or did you do what most people do, file it away in the someday folder? That someday folder is where dreams go to die. Let me tell you about two types of people. The first type wakes up and reacts to life. Their morning begins with checking social media, responding to other people's emergencies, and letting the world dictate their priorities. The second type wakes up and creates life. They decide their priorities before their feet hit the floor. They don't ask for permission to pursue their dreams. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They understand that perfection is the enemy of progress. But here's what's fascinating. This is where most people get it completely wrong. They think the difference between these two types of people is motivation. It's not. Both types of people feel fear. Both types experience doubt. Both types face uncertainty. The only difference is what they do despite these feelings. The one who achieve extraordinary success have mastered one critical skill. They've learned to be comfortable with discomfort. They understand that growth happens in the space between where you are and where you want to be. That space is always uncomfortable. Always. Right now, someone in this room is thinking, but you don't understand my situation. And you're right, I don't. But I understand human nature. I understand that every single person who has ever achieved anything meaningful faced their own unique set of obstacles. The question isn't whether you have obstacles. The question is what you're going to do about them. Let's conduct a simple exercise. Think about your biggest goal right now, the one that makes your heart race a little faster when you think about it. Got it. Now, what's the first excuse that comes to mind when you think about pursuing that goal? Hold on to that excuse. We're going to dissect it. That excuse you're holding on to, it's not protecting you. It's limiting you. It's not keeping you safe. It's keeping you small. And here's the truth that nobody talks about. Your excuses are boring. They're the same excuses that millions of people have used throughout history to justify living less than their potential. The most successful people in any field aren't the ones with the fewest obstacles. They're the ones who refuse to be defined by their obstacles. They understand that success isn't about conditions. It's about decisions. Every day, they make the decision to do what the other 9 don't want. What does this mean in practical terms? It means waking up an hour earlier when your body is begging for more sleep. It means choosing the harder right over the easier wrong. It means doing the important things that don't have deadlines before the urgent things that do. Most importantly, it means making these choices not once, not twice, but consistently day after day when no one is watching and no one is cheering you on. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to give advice to others, yet how difficult it is to follow that same advice ourselves? We can see the solution so clearly when it's someone else's problem. But when it comes to our own lives, we become masters of rationalization. This is where the real battle is fought. Not in the grand moments of crisis, but in the quiet moments of decision. The moment when you decide whether to hit the snooze button or get up and work on your dreams. The moment when you choose between watching another episode or reading that book that could change your life. The moment when you decide whether to make that difficult phone call or put it off until tomorrow. These moments seem small. They seem insignificant, but they're not. They're everything. Because success isn't created in the big moments. It's created in these small moments of choice. The choices that no one sees. The choices that don't seem to matter at the time. Here's what's truly fascinating about these choices. They compound every time you choose the harder right over the easier wrong. You're not just making a decision, you're building your character. You're strengthening your will. You're becoming the kind of person who does what needs to be done, regardless of how they feel about it. Would you like to know what separates the top one from everyone else? It's not their morning routine, though, that plays a part. It's not their goal-setting strategy, though. That's important, too. It's their relationship with discomfort. The top one have learned to seek out discomfort, to embrace it, to use it as a compass pointing toward. When you feel uncomfortable, when you feel uncertain, when you feel afraid, that's not a signal to stop. That's a signal that you're growing. That's a signal that you're pushing beyond your current limitations. That's exactly where you need to be. Let me be absolutely clear about something. This isn't about working yourself to exhaustion. This isn't about sacrificing everything for success. This is about making intelligent choices. It's about understanding that every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you're choosing mediocrity over excellence. But consider this profound truth. The person you become in the next 5 years will be determined by two things: the people you surround yourself with and the books you read. Yet how many of us actively choose our influences? How many of us deliberately seek out environments that challenge us to grow? Most people spend more time planning their next vacation than planning their life. They spend more time choosing what to watch on streaming services than choosing what thoughts to put in their minds. This isn't a criticism, it's a wake-up call. Because while we're busy being comfortable, life is passing us by. Let me share something that might change how you view your daily decisions forever. Every single day you're either growing or dying. There is no maintenance mode in life. When you're not actively pursuing growth, you're actively choosing decay. This applies to your relationships, your health, your skills, your mind, everything. The most dangerous phrase in any language is, "I already know that." The moment you think you know something is the moment you stop learning about it. The most successful people in any field maintain a beginner's mind. They approach each day with curiosity, wondering what new insight they might discover. Have you ever noticed how children learn? They don't worry about looking foolish. They don't make excuses about why they can't do something. They try, fail, adjust, and try again. Somewhere along the way, most of us lose this natural learning process. We become more concerned with looking good than with growing. Think about your own life for a moment. When was the last time you did something for the first time? When was the last time you purposely put yourself in a situation where you might fail? If it's been a while, that's a red flag. Growth happens at the edge of your comfort zone, not in the middle of it. Here's a truth that might be hard to swallow. Your current habits are perfectly designed to deliver your current results. If you want different results, you need different habits. But here's where most people get it wrong. They try to change too much too soon. They attempt massive changes that aren't sustainable. The key to lasting change isn't willpower. It's strategy. It's understanding that small, consistent actions performed day after day will completely transform your life. Want to know why most people fail to achieve their goals? They overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can achieve in a year. Let's talk about something that most motivational speeches skip over. The reality of failure. Not just failure as a concept, but the gut-wrenching, confidence-shaking kind of failure that makes you question everything. The kind that keeps you awake at night and makes you wonder if you should just give up and settle for less. Here's what you need to understand about failure. It's not your enemy. Failure is simply feedback. It's information. It's the universe's way of telling you that your current approach needs adjustment. The only real failure is the failure to learn from your mistakes. Most people treat failure as a stop sign when they should treat it as a detour sign. They let one setback become a permanent barrier. But what if you started seeing failures as necessary steps on the path to success? What if you understood that every step brings you closer to AYS? The most successful people in any field have failed more times than most people have even tried. They understand something that the other 99 don't. Success is never linear. It's messy. It's complicated. It involves taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back, sometimes 3 steps back. But they keep moving forward. What would you attempt to do if you knew you couldn't fail? Now here's the real question. What's stopping you from attempting anyway? Is it really the fear of failure, or is it the fear of what others might think? Most people live their entire lives in the opinion prison, constantly worried about what others might think or say. But here's the liberating truth. Most people are too busy worrying about themselves to spend much time thinking about you. And those who do judge you, they're usually the ones doing the least with their own lives. Think about the last time you made a decision. Was it based on what you truly wanted, or was it influenced by what you thought others expected of you? Was it aligned with your values and goals, or was it designed to avoid temporary discomfort? Write down your 3 biggest goals. Now, next to each goal, write down what you're willing to give up to achieve it. Because here's another truth that the 9 young don't want to hear. You can have almost anything you want, but you can't have everything you want. Success requires sacrifice. But let's be clear about sacrifice doesn't mean suffering. It means choosing what's important over what's immediate. It means trading what you want now for what you want most. The ones understand this, they make their decisions based on their goals, not their moods. Most people live their lives on autopilot, letting their habits run their days, never questioning whether these habits are serving them or sabotaging them. They react to life instead of creating it. They let circumstances dictate their actions instead of letting their actions create their circumstances. Here's another crucial distinction. Being busy is not the same as being productive. Activity is not the same as achievement. The 99ers are very often very busy, but they're busy doing the wrong things. They're efficient at activities that don't move them closer to their goals. Time management is really priority management. They don't find time for important things. They make time for important things. They understand that if something is truly important, it deserves to be scheduled. Everything else is just a distraction. Think about your average day. How much of it is spent reacting to others' priorities? How much of it is spent on activities that a year from now won't have made any difference in your life? The way you spend your days is the way you spend your life. Are you spending it, or are you investing it? This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where theory turns into practice. Because knowing what to do is the easy part, the hard part. The part that separates the one from the 99 of is doing what you know you should do, even when you don't feel like doing it. The quality of your questions determines the quality of your life, yet most people never question their questions. They ask themselves disempowering questions like, why does this always happen to me? Or what if I fail? Instead of empowering questions like, what can I learn from this? Or how can I make this work? Your mind is like a supercomputer, and your questions are the programs it runs. Ask it terrible questions, and you'll get terrible answers. Ask it empowering questions, and you'll get empowering answers. This isn't positive thinking. This is strategic thinking. Let me share something that might revolutionize how you approach challenges. Every problem in your life is teaching you something you need to learn. The bigger the problem, the bigger the lesson. But most people are so busy complaining about their problems that they miss the lessons hidden within them. Think about the biggest challenge you're facing right now. What if that challenge isn't happening to you, but for you? What if it's precisely what you need to become the person you're meant to be? They don't have fewer problems than everyone else. They just have a different relationship with their problems. Most people pray for easier lives. The successful pray for greater capacity. They understand that the goal isn't to eliminate challenges. It's to grow strong enough to handle bigger challenges. Because there's another truth. New levels bring new devils. As you grow, your challenges will grow with you. But let's talk about something that often gets overlooked in discussions about success. The importance of rest and renewal. To understand that sustainable success isn't about working 24/7. It's about working with intense focus and then recovering with equal intensity. Think of it like a rubber band. To propel something forward, you need to pull back first. The same principle applies to your success. The quality of your rest determines the quality of your work. But here's where most people get it wrong. They confuse rest with escape. Watching hours of television isn't rest, it's escape. Scrolling mindlessly through social media isn't rest, it's avoidance. True rest rejuvenates you. It fills you with energy and enthusiasm for what's next. It's strategic, not passive. Let's address another crucial aspect that the 99 often overlook: the power of your environment. Your environment is either supporting your goals or sabotaging them. There is no neutral. The books on your shelves, the notifications on your phone, the food in your refrigerator, they're all either moving you toward your goals or away from them. Have you ever noticed how your behavior changes depending on who you're with? That's because human beings are environmental creatures. We adapt to our surroundings. They understand this, so they deliberately design their environment to support their goals. This brings us to another vital truth. You can't change your life until you change your standards. Most people have wishes, not standards. They wish they were in better shape. They wish they had more money. They wish their relationships were better. But wishes are worthless without standards to back them up. Your standards are what you'll accept for yourself, not what you want for yourself. They're revealed by what you do, not by what you say. If you accept mediocrity in any area of your life, that's your standard. If you tolerate toxic relationships, that's your standard. If you allow yourself to make excuses, that's your... The good news is that you can raise your standards at any moment. You can decide right now that what was acceptable yesterday is no longer acceptable today. You can decide that from this moment forward, you will hold yourself to a higher standard. But here's where it gets interesting, and where most people get stuck. Raising your standards isn't just about deciding to do better. It's about becoming the kind of person who naturally does better. It's about identity change, not just behavior change. Think about that. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. When you make your bed in the morning, you're voting for being an organized person. When you keep a promise to yourself, you're voting for being a reliable person. When you do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it, you're voting for being a disciplined person. Most people focus on goals, but the one focus on identity. They understand that once you change who you are, what you do changes automatically. They don't have to force themselves to take action. They take action because that's who they are. Here's another distinction that separates the one from everyone else. They understand the difference between motion and progress. Motion makes you feel like you're doing something. Progress actually moves you toward your goals. Most people spend their lives in motion, mistaking activity for achievement. Think about your own life. How many times have you reorganized your desk instead of doing the important work? How many times have you revised your goals instead of taking action toward them? How many times have you planned and replanned instead of executing? You understand that clarity comes from action, not thought. They don't wait until they have everything figured out. They figure it out as they go. They understand that a good plan executed now is better than a perfect plan executed never. This brings us to another crucial point, the power of decisive action. Most people die by decision by indecision. They wait for perfect conditions. They wait for absolute certainty. They wait for someone to give them permission. And while they're waiting, life is passing them by. The most successful people in any field are decisive, not because they have more information than others, but because they've learned to make decisions with the information they have. They understand that in most cases, a wrong decision is better than no decision. Think about the decisions you're currently postponing. What opportunities are you missing while you wait for perfect conditions? What dreams are you putting on hold while you wait for absolute certainty? What life are you not living while you wait for someone else's approval? Remember this. Every decision you make or don't make is shaping your future. Every time you decide to stay in your comfort zone, you're deciding to accept less than you're capable of. Every time you choose the easy way over the right way, you're choosing to remain in the 90W1 you want. One of the most profound truths about success is that it leaves clues. The patterns, habits, and behaviors of successful people aren't secret. They're observable, learnable, and repeatable. Yet most people ignore these clues. They keep searching for some magical shortcut, some hidden secret that will make success easy. But here's what the one says: there are no shortcuts to any place worth going. The path to extraordinary achievement is well marked. It's just not well traveled. Because while everyone wants to be successful, few are willing to do what success requires. Let's talk about something that might change your perspective for F's. The compound effect of daily choices. Every decision you make today is creating your future self. The food you choose to eat, the thoughts you allow to linger, the actions you take or don't take. They're all compounds with interest. Most people overestimate the importance of big decisions and underestimate the importance of small daily choices. They think success comes from a few pivotal moments, when in reality it comes from countless small decisions made consistently over time. Think about your habits for a moment. Every habit you have good or bad, is paying you something. Some habits pay you in health, others in sickness, some pay you in knowledge, others in ignorance, some pay you in success, others in mediocrity. The question is, bet you satisfied with what your habits are paying you. Your habits are not just things you do, they're expressions of who you believe you are. If you believe you're disciplined, you act disciplinedly. If you believe you're productive, you act productively. If you believe you're successful, you act successfully. But here's where it gets interesting. Belief follows behavior. You don't have to believe you can do something to start doing it. You just have to start doing it, and the belief will follow. This is why waiting to feel motivated before taking action is a recipe for mediocrity. Consider this. Every time you push through resistance, every time you do what needs to be done, despite not feeling like it, you're not just accomplishing a task. You're strengthening your character. You're building self-trust. You're developing the kind of personal power that the 90s only dream about. Most people live their lives waiting for inspiration to strike. They want to understand that inspiration is a byproduct of action, not a prerequisite for it. They don't wait to feel inspired to take action. They take action to become inspired. Let's address something that often holds people back. The fear of criticism. Most people are so afraid of being criticized that they never do anything significant. They play it safe, they stay small, they avoid standing out. But here's what the one understands. Criticism is the price of success. If you're not being criticized, you're probably not doing anything significant. The more successful you become, the more criticism you'll face, the bigger your goals, the more opposition you'll encounter. This isn't something to fear. It's something to expect and embrace. Think about this. Every great achievement in human history was initially met with criticism. Every revolutionary idea was first dismissed as impossible or impractical. Every meaningful change was resisted before it was celebrated. The question isn't whether you'll face criticism. It's how you'll respond to it. The one have learned to see criticism for what it often is. This is a reflection of the critic's limitations, not their own. They understand that the opinion that matters most is the one they have of themselves. They're more concerned with their own self-approval than with others' approval. Here's another crucial distinction. The difference between interest and commitment. Most people are interested in success. They're interested in improvement. They're interested in change. But interest isn't enough. Interest reads a book about success. Commitment applies what the book teaches until success is achieved. Now think about your own goals. Are you interested in achieving them, or are you committed to achieving them? Interest works on things when it's convenient. Commitment works on things until they're completed. Interest makes excuses. Commitment makes progress. The one to understand that commitment means doing whatever it takes, not whatever's convenient. It means continuing when others quit. It means pushing through when everything in you wants to give up. It means maintaining your standards even when no one would know if you lowered them. But let's talk about another vital truth. The power of your peer group. You've probably heard that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. But it's more than that. Your peer group sets the standards for what's normal, what's acceptable, and what's possible. Most people choose their peer group by default. Whoever happens to be around them. The one choose their peer group by design. They understand that excellence is contagious, but so is mediocrity. They deliberately seek out people who pull them up, not people who pull them down. Think about the people you spend the most time with. Are they pushing you to grow, or are they keeping you comfortable? Are they raising your standards? Are they lowering them? Are they feeding your dreams, or are they feeding your fears? Here's something that might be uncomfortable to consider. Sometimes the biggest obstacle to your growth isn't the people who don't believe in you. It's the people who are comfortable with you exactly as you are. They mean well, but their comfort with your current self can become a cage that keeps you from becoming your better self. To understand that growth often requires letting go of old habits, old beliefs, and sometimes old relationships. Not because these things are bad, but because they're not aligned with where you're going. Consider this. Every level of success requires a different version of you. The habits, mindset, and relationships that got you here won't get you there. The one are constantly evolving, constantly upgrading their standards, constantly expanding their capacity.